If you've ever scrolled past a no-buy challenge video, you've probably seen the dramatic thumbnails and the bold claims. But behind the clickbait is a real behavioral finance experiment. Over the past 30 days, I eliminated all non-essential discretionary spending. The result? I redirected a surprising amount of cash back into my financial system. Not because I'm trying to be extreme, but because I'm trying to be strategic. Today, I'm going to break down exactly where that money came from, why it actually matters in today's economic environment, and how to systematically deploy it into a long-term investing framework. Welcome to WealthForge.
I'm your host, and on this channel, we translate personal finance discipline into evidence-based investing strategy. This isn't about deprivation, punishment, or chasing short-lived internet trends. It's about cash flow optimization, behavioral economics, and smart capital allocation. If you're here to build sustainable wealth through data, structure, and compound growth, you're in the right place. Let's get into the breakdown.
First, let's talk about scope. A no-buy challenge usually fails when the rules are vague. I treated mine like a corporate expense policy. Number 1, zero discretionary purchases. That meant no dining out, no entertainment upgrades, no new clothes, no impulse retail, and no tech refreshes. Number 2, essentials stayed completely untouched. Groceries, utilities, transportation, healthcare, insurance, and any pre-committed loan payments were excluded from the experiment. And number 3, every single dollar I avoided spending was tracked and ring-fenced. I logged it in a simple tracking sheet and automatically routed it to a dedicated reserve account. This wasn't about surviving on $0. It was about measuring the gap between habitual spending and actual need. From a behavioral finance standpoint, we're targeting the quiet leakage that compounds silently over years. The average household carries a meaningful amount of revolving consumer debt, and a lot of that is fueled by small, frictionless purchases. Removing that friction for 30 days reveals your real cash flow elasticity. After the full 30 days, my tracked savings came to exactly $100. Let's look at where it actually came from. Dining and coffee runs accounted for a meaningful chunk. Subscriptions and digital services added up faster than I expected. Apparel and retail made up another slice, and entertainment or miscellaneous impulse buys rounded it out. But honestly, the exact number is secondary. The real insight is behavioral. Economists call this present bias and choice architecture. When friction is removed, spending naturally rises. When you intentionally reintroduce that friction, awareness comes back. I didn't feel deprived because I replaced the psychological reward loop with a tracking loop. Every avoided purchase wasn't a loss. It was a deliberate capital allocation decision. From a financial planning perspective, that amount represents a significant percentage of a typical monthly discretionary budget. If you annualize it and assume consistent execution, that's thousands of dollars in recoverable cash flow every year. That's not a windfall. That's structural efficiency. And when applied consistently, efficiency funds compounding. Now, let's zoom out. Why does this matter right now? Consumer discretionary spending is highly sensitive to interest rate cycles and real wage growth. When we look at recent data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, household savings rates fluctuate inversely with discretionary outflows. And with borrowing costs still elevated relative to the previous decade, the margin for error in personal cash flow has genuinely narrowed. When you reduce leakage, you're not just saving money, you're building optionality. From an investing standpoint, that recovered capital shouldn't sit idle unless it's specifically earmarked for near-term liquidity needs. Historically, a disciplined allocation to broad market equity indices, like the S&P 500 or total market funds, has delivered roughly 7 to 10% nominal annualized returns over multi-decade horizons, once you factor in dividends and inflation. If you take that recovered amount and deploy it consistently into a low-cost, diversified index portfolio, the math isn't speculative, it's structural. What changes isn't the market, it's your contribution velocity. And that's what actually moves the needle over time. But here's the reality check. A 30-day challenge is a diagnostic tool, not a permanent lifestyle. The goal is to institutionalize the results. First, audit. Don't abolish. Use the 30-day data to identify your recurring leakage points, then replace them with a rules-based discretionary cap. Think 10 to 15% of your net income. Second, automate the redirect. Set up automatic transfers on payday. Human behavior follows systems, not willpower. Third, deploy with purpose. Segment that savings into 3 buckets: emergency liquidity, high-interest debt reduction if your APR is above 6 or 7%, and long-term investing through tax-advantaged accounts and broad index funds. Fourth, track your behavioral triggers. Notice when, why, and how impulse spending happens. Replace the trigger with a 48-hour cooling period. Data consistently shows that delayed purchases drop off significantly without regret. This isn't about restriction, it's about capital allocation discipline. The same principles that drive institutional portfolio construction apply directly to personal finance. Minimize drag, maximize efficiency, compound consistently. The real takeaway from this 30-day exercise isn't the dollar amount. It's the proof that cash flow is malleable, and small structural shifts, when automated and invested, scale significantly over time. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure you're subscribed to Wealth Forge. We're here to cut through the noise and deliver data-driven personal finance and investing guides. In the next video, I'll walk you through exactly how to deploy recovered savings into a tax-efficient, diversified portfolio structure, including practical asset allocation models and cost minimization strategies. Drop your 30-day results or your biggest spending trigger in the comments. I'll be reviewing the most common leakage patterns in a follow-up breakdown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Just a quick but important note before you go. This content is strictly for educational and informational purposes. It does not constitute financial, tax, or investment advice. All examples, projections, and historical return references are illustrative and based on publicly available data. Your actual results will vary depending on your individual circumstances, market conditions, tax situation. Thank you.